everyone, and welcome to Motion Mondays right here on Adobe Live, where we're talking all day about video editing, motion graphics, and all sorts of things motion. My name is Alex Hogue. I am a content creator and run a small business making that content up here in Bend, Oregon, and I am hanging out here with Ime, who's a good friend of
Yes.
mine. Ime, how you doing, bud?
Appreciate you, Alex. Thanks so much for having me on. Very excited to be here. It's been a good year to start off, and I'm really excited to talk about drone storytelling and how I edit in Premiere Pro today.
Oh, I'm super excited and it's great. This isn't your first time here, so thank you so much for joining us again. And also thank you to everyone in the chat. I do see Umacorn is here hanging out. Everyone's been hanging out this
Nice.
whole day. It's been really fun. I see Keys still here, Joshua. Hey guys, hey Robert, how's it going? And as well, everyone on YouTube. If you are over on
Nice.
YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button at Adobe Live. Also over on Instagram at Adobe Live. And yeah, we're doing this all day long, all week long, but today we're talking video stuff all day long.
Yes.
So, Ime is a content creator, but he is a more specifically a drone and travel expert. And he's also one of the most humble guys I've personally met. He's based out of Baltimore, but travels the globe looking to work alongside purpose driven nonprofits, tourism boards, and brands like Skydio, Epidemic, Travel Noir, and Visit Baltimore, um, just to name a few. So if you haven't seen Ime here on Adobe Live or you're unfamiliar with his work, go to his website and we'll make sure the moderators drop a link for that. But it's just his name, imeumoh.com. And he's got some free guides for you over there and also
Yeah.
courses. And he does one on one stuff as well. So lots to get into. But Ime, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah. No doubt. I appreciate that intro, man.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
gotten a lot of intros with that. That might be like one of the best. So, no, I appreciate you, Alex. And again, thank you so much for having me. Part of being a creative and a drone pilot and a business owner and now in this part of my career is really giving back. So I get questions all the time around how do you travel? How do you edit? What kind of drone do you use? So I really love this opportunity just to talk about my story and again, how I use Adobe Premiere Pro and a lot of other Adobe tools to grow my business to build community and of course tell stories. So I didn't get started really in Premiere Pro. That was probably 2018, 2019. Before that, I was a project manager working in Silicon Valley and brought my first drone in Osmo Pocket in 2019. And I shot a lot of good footage, but I wanted to actually tell a story. I wanted to inform people where I was and also inspire them to travel. And Adobe has just been my rock as a software. It was a little bit intimidating in the beginning. There's just a lot of options and buttons, but through a lot of YouTube tutorials, through a lot of trial and error, I've been able to really use this tool and be more comfortable with it than I ever have been. And I'm excited to talk about that today. Everything that I do kind of comes out of Premiere Pro, whether it's long form or short form. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about that today and how this helps me amplify my story of the places that I go in the world.
And tell me a bit about the content that we're going to be working in. And we'll be focusing inside of Premiere as well as Adobe Express, is my understanding. But tell me a bit
Yes.
about the content that you're showcasing today.
Yeah, so this is a really exciting for me because the content that we're going to be going through today is all from Nigeria. We're going to visit Lagos, which is one of the major cities here in Nigeria in West Africa. And then I'm going to take you to my hometown in Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria, which is in the southernmost part of the region. So very tropical. It goes from tropical to city. We'll be working with some hyperlapses, some just different perspectives of the drone. So I'm really happy to bring people to Nigeria for this tutorial session to show you a little bit where I'm from.
Excellent. And I love myself, I noticed this, but also Keys in the chat here is commenting on your awesome hat there as well. Um, but yeah,
No
I'm really
doubt.
excited to get into the content you have. And I'm just
Yeah,
curious, like, drones have become a lot more popular, and I know you've been doing all kinds of stuff with this. Do
yeah,
you
man.
remember your first time flying a drone, that
Oh
experience?
my gosh. My first time flying a drone. I know the day. So it was November 17th,
Oh,
2018. And I was so scared because I just bought this, $1,000 machine and it's going up in the air and I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, I flew for about 2, 3 minutes and I brought that thing right back down, man. But you know, one of the best things that happened to me, I had all this time after I left, my job and I was traveling the world and I just had so much time to practice. So once I started traveling, I got more comfortable with it. I got more comfortable with my shots and framing. And now I'm at a point where I'm really telling stories through my drone. So that first time is always nervous. I still get nervous today. But again, it's like with any tool, whether it's Adobe or a drone, the more and more you do it, you're going to get more comfortable. And yeah, I'm just really happy that not as nervous, still taking safety precautions. But yeah, it's definitely been a long journey.
I love the description of the first time you put it up and you put it right back down.
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
yeah, gotta come down.
I want to go ahead and jump into our content, but we are also already
Yeah,
getting questions from the chat.
cool.
Robert is asking, are you a licensed drone pilot? And can you take that license worldwide?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm a licensed drone pilot. So the license that I have is the Part 107 license. There's a lot of information behind that. But if you want to be able to operate your drone commercially in the United States, that means you're making money. Some real estate agent asks you to take a photo so they can sell. You have to have that commercial Part 107 license in the United States. Now, it definitely gets tricky when you travel because every country has their own civil aviation authority. And there's going to be different rules around how you can fly and how you can actually operate your drone. So luckily for me, when I work with tourism boards, that's just something that is added into the administration, that, we actually have to go through the proper paperwork and administration. Sometimes, fees to be able to operate my drone in different countries. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, every country that I've gone through, went through the formal process. That was a lot earlier in my career. But now, yes, when you're flying in different countries, it is always good. I can't stress this enough. Always do your research. A lot of the times you could just do a quick Google research. Can I fly my drone in X? You'll see a lot of information on the web results. But if you can try to go to your destination country's civil aviation, the official aviation authority, and you'll be able to see what rules they have in place. So yeah, just because you have a Part 107 doesn't mean you can fly everywhere in the world. It is recognized, but before you travel, just make sure you do your research.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. As a avid drone pilot myself, both for FPV stuff and other things, I
Yeah.
definitely advocate for just being responsible with it because if you're not, then it kind of ruins it for everyone
Yep.
else. And there are some apps out there that I'm sure you probably use too to help, at least in
Absolutely.
the United States, to help, identify that airspace and be safe about it. Let's go
Yep.
ahead and jump in. Hello to
Let's
General
go.
Kenobi. Thanks for joining. Danny Media, what's going on? Siraj, hey everyone. Lots of people here, but Ime,
Yeah.
let's dive into Premiere. Let's get into the meat of this stream
Let's
and walk us through real quick what you're gonna do and go ahead
absolutely.
and take the reins.
Sounds good. Okay, so I'm actually going to just for 1 second. I know that a lot of people watching this, no matter where you are in your Premiere Pro journey, we always start with kind of a blank state. So what you're seeing right now on the screen is actually two projects that I have open. I'm going to be pulling media from both of those files, but I'm just going to X out this for a second. Let's just save just to be on the safe side, and let's just close it. So I am using the latest version of Premiere. So again, if you are a Premiere Pro user, just make sure that you are updated to the most recent version. Premiere Pro a lot of times has just different features that they're rolling out. So you don't want to get left behind or be operating on an old system. I know a lot of people have preferences on that, but my recommendation, if you're just starting out, just try to get the latest version. So here's my home screen, and you can see that these are some of my recent projects, but I want to make a completely new project. So I'm just going to open my project here. And these are a lot of my projects, but on my external hard drive, I actually have a template for projects. So you can see this 2024 template. This is going to open up a template that I've made custom. And you'll find out if you fly your drone a lot, if you're creating travel content, you're going to realize that there's a lot of steps that you take along the way that are very repetitive. And one of the things to help speed up that workflow is that you can actually create a template. So within this template, you can see on the left side that I have a bunch of folders here, and I have them numerically ordered. But what I want to do first is actually, since we're going to be editing a project today, I'm going to open up one of my sequence timeline edits. And it's just on the left side of the screen here. And I'm going to open up Instagram since we're going to be editing a vertical video.
Okay.
Now, I just wanted to show you the file structure, but before we get into that, we need to save our project before we upload any files. So I'm going to go up top, just save as, and then I'm going to come down here to, actually, I'm just going to save this on my desktop. So
And
I'll go
Ime,
here, I'll save.
I just have a
Mhm.
question for you on saving here, as you're going to desktop. But do you,
Yeah.
like, whether it's this project or any project in general, do you have like a formula or kind of like a system for how you name your projects? I know some people are very specific, some people are just messy, and it's like, oh, project one, and then 2 months later, like, what was this?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I definitely have a system. And again, it's tailored towards me. So again, because I'm a travel photographer, most of my destinations are based on country or city. And I'll show you a little bit about what that looks like. So let's say, actually, yeah, let's open up a folder. So I'm going to go to my Finder. I am using a Mac. I'm going to go to my Finder. I'm going to click on my SD 2023 Part 2. Excuse me, my external hard drive, and I'm going to open up my 2024 folder. So you can see that in the top there. And you can see I mean, we're working through the end of March, but I've been a couple of places. I was in Accra in February with my dad, Akwa Ibom, Nigeria. I just have so much footage. I think it made sense for me to make a separate folder. But you can see here, because I'm a travel content creator, I just really named them by country and then when I went. I've noticed that a lot of times when companies or brand reach out and they want stock footage, they'll ask me, "Hey, do you have any footage of Nigeria or Jamaica?" And I know in my mind that, hey, I was there in February, um, but I need to know where to go, right? So I just name it by country, by city, country, and then the month that I was there, because I typically travel for, 2, 3 weeks on advance. And I'll let you click in. So I'm going to click on Acquire Boom. I have a media folder. And then when I go to footage, and then I have my camera B for me is actually my drone. So when I click on that camera B footage, I have a bunch of drones. I'll click one more time, and then you can actually see from the 25th to March 2nd, I was shooting at all these different locations. So it's just
Love the
really good for me.
organization.
Oh my gosh. And I
Love it.
know, I know maybe people are watching is like, oh my God, but I'm telling you, when you organize your footage, it is going to speed up your workflow so much. There were so many
Yeah.
times that while I'm talking through this, I'm going to import it, but there were so many times when I had this idea and I was inspired, but when I actually got to doing the edit and I had to find files and try to cut, I just became so frustrated that I didn't even want to edit anymore. So I've implemented just this organization, and I'm telling you, if you're a user of Premiere Pro or any Adobe tools, make sure that you organize your footage. It's going to save you so much time, and I feel like it's going to make you more efficient when you actually get to edit.
Yeah, I love that. I will say, with everyone in the chat, hello, Romy. I think I said that right. I hope so. Says go Ime.
No doubt.
So we got a lot of love in the chat for you here.
I love it,
Um,
man.
yeah, you know what? I'll let you go ahead, but I want to know in the chat where everyone is from since we are talking about traveling.
Yeah.
One, tell me where you're from. Tell me maybe a favorite place that you've traveled to, and then three, have you ever flown drones before or used drones for work? That would kind of help kind of set the scene of who's in our chat right now and who we're talking to.
Absolutely. Shout out to the drone pilots, man. If you don't have one yet, I highly recommend getting one. Hopefully, you could put an edit together today to help inspire people. But I love drones. They're such just a unique storytelling tool. And I know most people may think of drones, and it might be the second camera you pull out. But for me, as a drone pilot, it's the first camera that I pull out every time. I'm always thinking about a different perspective. So I'm glad. Hopefully, some drone pilots are in the chat. What I'm doing right now, so you'll see that I just opened up another project. So we have our Adobe Live project in the top left corner. That's where I'm actually going to be exporting this video out from today. But I also opened another project just by pressing Command and O, because I want to pull files from that other profile, that other project. And I'll walk you
Mhm.
through that right now.
Command and O. I
So
like that. Have them both open at the same time.
exactly, exactly. So what I've done, so I want to focus our attention to the Quibum State project. So right now, just as you saw on my external hard drive, you can see that there's a media folder. And I've actually, and let me click on camera B since I'm dealing with my drone footage. You can see all, again, it's basically identical to my external hard drive, right? So there's really no difference. It matches, and that's very important when I want to try to find a file. But the other thing that I will pull out, the other thing that I will point out about Aquarium is that the process of culling. So the process of culling is, hey, I've gone out, I've created a bunch of beautiful content, whether that be from your cell phone or your camera or your drone. I bring all of that footage into a Premiere Pro project, and then I start cutting it up, and I start cutting it up only into the best parts. And let me show you what that looks like.
Yeah,
So I'm
let's
just
take
going
a
to go
look.
back here and I'm just going to press, let me make my screen a little bit bigger.
You
And I'm
read my
just going to
mind.
press I'm just going to press play here. So what I'm playing is not just the raw clip from the drone file, it's actually a cut clip. So these clips are maybe 5 to 6, maybe 8 seconds in length. But you can see here all of my drone maneuvers and directions that I'm flying, they are already on the timeline, just ready for me to edit. I don't have to go and find out, oh, I got to go through this file and cut it up. I put everything beautifully on the timeline. So no matter if I have an idea, I can just come to this timeline and literally drag and drop.
These shots
Okay.
look like they're from like Ted Lasso or like Welcome to Wrexham or something. This is great.
The Nigerian
I don't know
version.
if anyone's seen that. Yeah.
So yeah, and what we're looking at right now, big shout out to Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. This is actually in Eket, and Eket is very close to the most southern part of Nigeria, and it leads right out to the Atlantic Ocean. But yes, it's a beautiful stadium that I shot. And as I'm just scrolling through here, I don't want to play this too fast, but as I'm just scrolling through, you can just see that from a like when we're telling our drone story, I'm trying to get as many perspectives as possible. I know when people get judged, you just want to fly as high as possible and look down, but I'm trying to just get different perspectives, wide, medium, and close. That's all I'm thinking. Wide, medium, and close. So you can see a real a tight kind of medium shot here. And so yeah, just kind of taking you through. It was definitely one of my favorite flights of the year, just being home in Nigeria.
Ooh.
But okay, so now that we got our footage,
And
let's
we
think
do
about
have some
how we want to.
people. Oh,
Okay,
we do
yeah.
have some people. We
Questions?
got Kat from Chicago. Last trip was Johannesburg, South Africa.
Ooh,
Um,
nice.
Joshua is a drone enthusiast, has two DJI Mavics, and Keys. Thanks for hanging
Sick,
around through
man.
all these streams. But Keys is from Iceland, so
Keys, what's up?
I don't know if you've ever been to Iceland, but
I think I gotta go. I would love
yeah,
to take my drone to Iceland. I would love to take my drone to Iceland. I actually saw some photos on Behance that inspired me to go to Iceland. So yeah, definitely a tourism board. I if you're watching, let
there
me
you
know.
go.
Those are the type of projects that I like to work on. So right now you'll see on my screen that I'm actually just playing through. I'm not pressing anything. And the great thing again about culling your footage is that even if you don't make any edits and you just play it, it kind of feels like an edit, right? The only thing that is missing is music.
And when you say
But
culling your footage, are you talking about like just pulling the selects and putting them all together, or what do you mean by that?
exactly. Let me show you a quick example. So I'm going to go back to Aquarium State. This is my project folder with all the media. I'm going to go to that media file, click on footage, camera B, since camera B is my drone, and we're talking about drone footage today. Going to go to Mavic 3, and let's just go to Eket Stadium. We were just looking at Eket Stadium. So again, when you import your footage to Premiere Pro, it's basically going to look like this. You're going to see a bunch of files, pretty much the same thing that you would on your micro SD from your drone or your external hard drive. And when I talk about culling, I am taking the raw file. So I'm going to double click on 0882. Let me just bring this over. So I'm going to drag this over just to make it a little bit bigger. So when we talk about culling, this is the whole complete file, right? So you can see right here, there's a little bit of jitter, right? There's not much movement. There's a little bit of jitter there. I'm really not sure like what I'm focusing on. But when I actually, yeah, let's clear in and out. But
And
when I get
especially
to
since
this,
those are long clips, right? Like this is why
exactly,
you're going through, just narrowing it down, making your edit easier for the story you're trying to build for that. Was it, you
perfectly
said
said.
wide, medium, and close?
Wide, medium, and close. So this would
There
be
it is.
something like I would say a wide shot, right? Because as a drone pilot, I'm focusing on my subject and I really want to bring the attention and the focus to the center of the field. So I have my grid lines on in my drone and I'm really maneuvering the drone, but I'm keeping my center point like directly on the field. And that's how I'm maneuvering. So again, when we talk about culling the footage, even if I play it through kind of fast, you can see a little bit of a jitter. And the best way to look like an amateur with your drone is to have jittery footage, okay? Just a pro tip. So when I'm running through this clip, so what I'm doing with my left clicker, I'm holding down on this icon and I'm just dragging it through. And I'm really looking for a time where the footage is smooth. And what I just did on my keyboard was press I. We're going to make in and out points. So between the in and out point is going to be the best part of the clip. And that's what I want in my timeline. So I'm going to press, so I pressed I. Let me actually go back. I'll press I because that's where I want to begin. I'll press space just to let it play through. And again, right now just playing at normal pace. And I feel like from there is pretty good. Like just as a storyteller and trying to show the stadium, like I'm starting to see the goal line is a little bit behind. I actually want to see the full, like this full stadium. And actually got a nice bird shot
Yeah, that's
right there
unreal.
too. So
You didn't
actually, you
add
know
that
what?
afterwards, generative fill.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this
Uh,
is one of my hacks too. So again, I'm looking through this clip. There's a good clip. We've set our in and out points, but I see that bird, right? That bird is pretty cool. And a good way for me to just note that there is something memorable here in this clip, I'm just going to press M. And that M is a marker. So no matter if I use this clip now or later, I know that when I'm sorting through this clip on my call timeline, I know that around this point, the bird is flying through and really makes it a nice piece. Okay. So that's what we talk about when we're culling our footage. We are choosing the best parts from our raw footage. And what I do is I make an in point and out point. And then the next thing that I do
and I
is
love that little
I,
tip for just putting a marker there too, for like, hey, this was a cool moment, or it was a bird, or whatever it might have been, just to make things
exactly.
quicker.
Exactly. And the great thing about markers is you can change their colors in Premiere Pro, whether yellow means something, maybe green marker means animal, but again, you can make markers however you want. Now, I want to go back to that raw footage real quick, 0882. So I did select my in and out point. And let's say that I'm starting to put my story together. I'm just going to press comma on my keyboard. And you can see that when I press comma, it's actually going to insert it on the timeline. So this is my timeline. This is the Adobe Live timeline that we're working on today. Actually, I don't think that is. Let me get the right. Okay, actually it is.
And you
So I'm
even have
gonna
that kind of pancake style going on with the two sequences there too, huh?
this is pancake editing 101. I hope you like pancakes. Even if you're not, we're gonna cook something good today. But yes, pancake editing will save you a lot of time. I'll talk about that a little bit in depth.
Excellent.
So right now, I put this on my vertical timeline. We want to make an 30-second Instagram story, right? And so I have my vertical timeline, and you can see there's some black bars here on the top and the bottom. So what do we do about that? And that's just one of the things about having a drone that you're going to get used to, right? If you want to use social media, you really have to, sorry, if you want to use social media nowadays and you have a drone, you really have to think about your orientation. So a lot of the times when I'm shooting, I cannot stress enough, please use grid lines. Grid lines are going to allow you to perfectly frame your composition when you're shooting. Because as you can see, drones by default, they shoot in this landscape format. But we spend a lot of our time on our phones and we're really looking at things in a vertical format. So it really depends on the preference. I know some people will share clips and tell you to rotate your phone, but for me, I want people to have a really pleasant viewing experience, especially when they're looking at footage of Nigeria. I don't want there to be black bars. I know there's some creative ways to kind of get through that, but what we're going to do here instead,
And Ime,
I
while
am
you're
going
doing
to,
that, we
Mhm.
do have a question going on in the chat. It's from
Yeah,
Joshua, and he was
what's up,
asking, you were
Josh?
talking about the video jitters. The best way to make yourself look amateur is having video jitters. What would you say is the root cause of those video jitters? Is it turbulence? Is it a particular move or anything in particular that causes it?
Yeah, it could be a number of things. I think when I think back to my drone journey, like I really wanted to get cinematic footage. Like that's what I wanted to show, cinematic footage. And I got a lot of inspiration from movies. And you'll see in movies and documentaries, they use a lot of drone footage for transitioning through scenes. But you'll realize that a lot of those shots from the drone, they're really smooth shots. They're literally just going in one direction, flying from side to side or up and down, or from left to right, right to left, vice versa. So when it comes to removing those jitters, I think it really comes down to number one, just slow down. Just
Mhm.
slow down and practice simple moves. Those cinematic moves will make you look like a pro. Now, if you're inspired by FPVs or you want to, fly and go under bridges, that's going to be a little bit different than this type of drone that I'm using. But the first rule is just slow down. And then the second, if you are moving, from that beginner to maybe intermediate, there are drone settings that you can actually change to help slow your gimbal speed down and slow your drone movement down. It's a good point that you mentioned weather and wind. Those sometimes can have an effect on your drone. I use the Mini 3 Pro from time to time, and sometimes it doesn't handle wind as well as my Mavic 3. That's a little bit heavier and that has a heavier battery and that can hold itself in the air. So, three tips there. Again, just slow down if you want to get better cinematic movements. Always try to hold your shots for at least 6 to 8 seconds. That's going to give you enough time to be creative when you edit. And then again, we talked about safety a little bit earlier, but don't try to fly in like super windy weather conditions. It might seem like a good idea to try to, put your drone up and chase a tornado or something. But if you want to eliminate that jittery footage and get cinematic, smooth footage, just keep those three things in mind.
Awesome. Thanks for covering that. So we are moving along pretty quick. This is a great
Yeah,
stream already because we've been just like fully going at it. We're almost a
love it.
half an hour in, which gives us
No
a
doubt.
little under an hour. And I want
Okay.
to make sure to cover all the great content that you have. So we've
Yeah.
talked a little bit about story. We've gotten some great tips so far.
Yep.
What's next? What are we doing?
Okay, so now let's put the edit together. Now, as a storyteller, as a travel storyteller, I'm very motivated and inspired by music. So the first thing that we want to do is the first thing that I do is think about the type of music that I want to go with these shots. So I'm going to go back to my Acquire Boom folder. Actually, sorry, I'm going to go back to my Acquire Boom folder. And within that media side, let me just put this up like this. In the media, I also have a folder for music. And I have some copyright-free music. Shout out to Epidemic Sound. And if you do use Premiere Pro, there's actually an extension for Epidemic Sound you can use. But I'm just going to take this file. It looks like ES Exits, Felix Johnson. I'm going to put that right down here in the timeline. So let me turn the volume down so I'm not blowing folks away. Okay, but I'm going to play this right now. And let me know if you guys can hear that.
Yep.
Cool.
I will
I got
say
a little.
on the stream, let's make sure to turn it down just a little bit. So maybe bring that level down to like -12. I don't know if you can hear me.
Gotcha. Cool. So what Alex is talking about, you can kind of see that green, looks like green and yellow. So if it is too loud, you'll know that because it'll be like super high. You can see like yellow there. Now, if you're getting into red, that means you are blowing people's ears out. So one of the best ways to just adjust your volume manually is in this audio track mixer tab right here. And if you don't see that, you can always click on audio track mixer, okay? But this is up, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring this on down. So we can see here, the decibels is -9.6. Let me go and play it again. Okay, so you can see still a little bit. Let's bring it down a little bit. So -12 is good. Alex, what's your preference?
I think it depends on the edit and how many people are talking. I was only saying the -12 just for our stream, just because it gets pretty
Gotcha.
loud when it goes over the stream. But yeah,
Gotcha.
I typically keep music around -12, a little lower. Bring it up, when there's particular moments, or if someone's talking, bring it down even lower.
Exactly, exactly. Gotcha. Good call. I mean, actually, yeah, between -12 and -13, that's where I float around. You mentioned a really good point in terms of voiceovers. So again, you definitely want to monitor if you're adding a voiceover, monitor just the levels, right? This is going to be a visual travel guide, so we're going straight just footage and music.
Hmm.
All right, so hopefully people were kind of feeling that music. This is actually one of my favorite tracks from Epidemic Sound. But again, we're editing to the beat and we're going to be doing pancake editing. So I'm going to play this again and I'm looking out for the beats because I like to edit to the beats. Okay. And then what I'm going to do there is just make a mark, right? So you guys can't see my foot tapping, but as my
Yeah.
foot is tapping, I'm just thinking about, okay, where do I want to cut, right? Where do I want to cut? I'm just listening to the beat.
Yep.
So I'll play it again. Boom. So boom
Yeah,
means
and
I'm
you're
putting
just
a
hitting
marker.
M,
Yep.
M for the marker.
And again,
This
this is
is
just my rhythm. You might say, hey, you don't need to be a musician, but anywhere where you want to switch a scene or switch a visual up, you can just hit M, and that's being put on the audio timeline. So it's gonna make it really easy for me when I'm dragging those clips from one timeline to another.
Yeah,
And
I
I'll
do
do
the
that
same
right now.
exact thing too. And if there's like a particular distinct change in the music, I also like to put a marker there, and maybe you can even label the marker and be like, or do a
Yeah,
different color where you're like, oh, the music changes like pretty drastically right here.
exactly.
Exact same
Let's
technique.
do an example of that. So I believe to change a color, you can let's see. That
Usually
is
you
not,
just double click on it. Sometimes it has to be in the source window, and you click the marker in the source window. But if it won't go right here. But
let's see.
or when you
Okay,
place a marker, if you actually double tap M, it will automatically bring up so you can leave a comment or change the color on it.
gotcha. Okay, I errored to the double click. So what I've done here, we've got our Adobe Live Edit on the left side right here, and then the source monitor is where we're actually seeing the audio waves in the file. So I'm just going to this marker right here. I'm going to double click, and as you can see here, it's red. I'm going to choose red. It was defaulted to green, but I'm going to choose red. I'm going to push OK, and now I can see. Man, when I'm editing, Ime, you got to bring the
Mm.
fire on this shot, okay? You got to bring the fire on that clip because that's when things are going to switch. All right, so I feel like we've got enough markers down. There's a little bit of an intro here. And what I'm going to do, I just want to come in on the beat. So again, to come in on the beat, I'm just going to play and then I'm just going to press M. Okay, that's good enough. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to trim my audio file just to that beat. And that's how we're going to start our video. So let's give it a playback one more time. Okay, that's good enough for me. Now we have our markers down. We're not making a documentary. This should be a good 15-second video. But let's look at our markers. So we know exactly when we're going to change a shot or when we're going to change a perspective. Now, the best part about pancake editing, organizing your footage and putting it on the timeline, all I have to do is drag and drop and be creative. Okay, so let's do it. So I'm going
Yes.
to give this timeline just a little bit more real estate. Okay. And you'll notice too, now this is a pro tip just for Premiere Pro. I know everybody's at different levels, but I
Oh,
cannot
give us
stress
all the pro
how
tips. All the
uh,
pro
I,
tips.
can't, I cannot express how important just labeling your labeling your clips. Because if I were just to, just to come in here and I just saw a bunch of purple and red, I wouldn't know where I should look. But I know that's, hey, if I want to go to a ket, right? I know all of my cat clips are here. If I want to go to Uyo, I know all of my clips are here. And then when I get a level below, you can see it's by destination, right? So this is one of the newest churches that were built, one of the newest uh, worship centers that was built in Akwa Boom. And I went there and got some shots. Okay. So you can just see, like, I know exactly where. So as I'm thinking about my edit, maybe my edit is, about selfies with my drone. I know exactly where to get those. Okay. All right. So let's start editing. Let's start getting through this. So I need I'm always looking for like a powerful shot when I first begin. And one of the ways that I'm looking for like some of my favorite shots is by labeling my best shots a color. So if you're just looking at this timeline, all of my purple shots are pretty much normal shots, but anything I have in red, I'm like, Ime. That is a great
Fire.
shot, man. We need to, like, this needs to be somewhere, but I want you to visually see this when you look at this timeline that this is a fire clip. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look for some fire clips, and I made that easy on myself. This one looks good. So we got an intro shot of this is a Ket, and this is the Kwaibo River. So what I'm going to do, and as you can see, I just dragged that fire clip down to the timeline, but it's a little long. We might need to cut that. So I'm just going to press play. Boom. All right. So even though I didn't make a marker, I want to cut there. And then you can do this a couple ways just to trim your clip. You can drag it, you can cut it. I'm just going to drag it for time's sake. Okay, now I'm looking for my next clip, right? I got palm trees, and I really, let's say the theme of this video is beautiful palm trees, right? The beautiful palm trees of Akwa Ibom. So I'm looking for shots that can really showcase the beauty. And I see one here. Okay, and I did that just by literally scrolling through my timeline. I want to show the beauty of Akwa Ibom, how green and lush my home state is. So I'm gonna go from this. Cool. That was okay.
I also want to call attention to how you're doing this because you're not clicking on the clip up top and then Control C copy and then pasting it. The benefit of having this kind of dual sequence layout is you're just dragging it down and it's automatically replicating it, which I feel like a
Just
lot of people don't know that. And it's such a easy, great way to edit and bring clips over from multiple
they
sequences without having to scroll back and forth and everything.
Exactly. I mean, I cannot tell you how many hours I spent frustrated trying to organize footage, edit footage, and actually make a story in one setting. But this way, I mean, my ideas are kind of sporadic, right? So if I have an idea, I just want to go into Premiere Pro and put those clips down because I know I have that clip from Ghana. I know I got that one from Nigeria, but just by coming in, I choose my music and I drag and drop the clips. It has saved me hours, 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 hours. So please, if you take anything from today, edit, organize your edit and organize all of your footage. And when it comes to editing, especially for these, quick travel guides, you're gonna have a smoother process because you're not starting from scratch every time you open up. So, good point, Alex. I'm just dragging and dropping. Now, and this is for all my drone pilots, quick tip here. Now, you'll realize that I'm going to go back in my timeline. You'll realize in this clip, this is actually a top-down clip where the drone is looking directly down. And you'll notice that we are editing on like a vertical format. And I don't want to take that away because when you crop in, you start to lose quality. So pro tip
Yeah.
for drone pilots, always try to get those like I call them Hawkeye shots, but you're just looking down. And what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to rotate this. I'm going to put in 90 degrees. So what this is going to do, it's going to take this clip right here in the bottom left, and it's going to rotate the orientation 90 degrees. So let me press enter and do that.
This is a
And
genius
then,
little tip. I don't know why I've never thought of this.
yeah, I
Like
mean,
especially for those like yeah, the 90-degree bird's eye
yeah,
Hawkeye
man.
angles. That's a
Yep.
great tip for drone shooters.
So we want to, I mean, again, because we're editing vertical, we're losing a lot of real estate on the side. So I've just made it a point to shoot Hawkeye down shots. And then when you do that, you just rotate it and you lose any quality because you can kind of see when the quality goes down when you're cropping in on a 4K shot. But let's keep going here. So that's just one example. Again, we're showing the greenery and the beauty of Nigeria. And hopefully this is getting people to, curious about Nigeria and what we have going out here. Maybe I'll include one shot of myself and talking about how I color the clips and how I'm telling stories. Again, when you're working with a bunch of footage, you need some visual cues to let you know what kind of clips are which. And for me, anything green is going to be a photo or a video of me, right? It's me telling my story as opposed to general B-roll that's going to be in that purple. So again, I'm going to drag that clip down and I don't need the whole thing. I'm
Ime,
just
I'm so
gonna,
sorry to keep interrupting you, but we just
all
have too
good,
many
man.
questions coming from the chat.
We love
Jacob is asking,
questions.
since we have we talked about the vertical shooting here, and we are, the purpose of this edit is to deliver in a vertical format.
Yep,
Um, some of the new DJI drones, it sounds like shoot in a vertical implementation. Do you utilize that in your workflow?
absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, you know what? On this timeline, I have vertical footage. I'm just gonna find it here. I know I shot it at this church, but oops. Okay, the church. So I do have some footage, and I do use the Mini 3 Pro to be able to do that. And again, I love it for that reason. It literally it quite literally just it's just crispier, right? Because
Hmm.
when you're editing
Sharper.
landscape photos, you have to crop in, but because you're shooting natively in vertical, is so crispy. So I don't know what DJI has planned for like a Mavic 3 series, but if they do like a vertical mode on the Mavic 3, then that'll be pretty big. In the meantime, the DJI Mini 3 Pro, I believe the Mini 4 Pro gives you that vertical landscape. But yes, absolutely. That's actually one of the reasons why I got my Mini 3 Pro because I knew we've been getting so many requests for editing and putting together vertical content. And I said, hey, why not just get a drone that's going to be able to shoot natively and I don't have to continue cropping or shooting a bunch of top-down shots to get the best quality. So I'm working through this edit, even though this vertical clip has nothing to do with the greenery. I'm going to leave it in there. Actually, here's a better one.
I
So
dig
this is a
it. And
vertical clip. And again, I know that's a vertical clip from my timeline because I'm actually, so this is the called timeline. So these are all of the best clips, and I can tell that there are black bars on each side, right? So that's just a good indicator for me that this one vertical clip is on this timeline full of landscape clips, and I can know exactly while I'm just scrolling through how I can pick that out. And again, you'll notice like for me to find clips, I'll use a bunch of things. I'll use my visual cues, my labeling, the colors. But a lot of the times I'm just really scrolling through like what looks really interesting. This clip looks really interesting. I'm
Ime,
just gonna
let me
substitute.
ask you. So it seems like coloring with labels is really important in your workflow.
Oh yeah.
We got the red shots for the fire, the good stuff.
Yeah,
And this is a really basic question, but for one, can you show how you actually color those clips? And then the second part of
absolutely.
that question, one of my favorite things to do is set a custom hotkey for color labels, like to the number pad or to specific keys to do it really
Smart
quickly. And
man.
I'm curious if you do that or if you just right click on each one and set it. What's your
Absolutely.
process there to make that quicker?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's one of the best things about Premiere Pro. So I'm just gonna drag this one last clip down. Let's do it like this. Okay, so yeah, one of the best parts about Premiere Pro is shortcuts, and I utilize those as well. So a lot of the times when I'm going through footage, let's just imagine, okay, this is my call timeline, and let's just say I'm going back through, right? Going back through, saying, wow, that's a really beautiful shot of a wedding, right? It's culture, it's everything. And I think this is a really fire clip, and I want to label that. So what I do, I have shortcuts that are defined in Premiere Pro. And anytime I see a fire shot, for me, it's going to be Command and then two. And you can see
Mm,
right there that it changes for red. Now, let's say I was in this shot for some reason, and let's say that I wanted to turn it green. I have another shortcut. I'll press Command 3 for green. So that means I'm in the shot. And I have a few for yellow and tan for me means B-roll. But let's just say, hey, I wanted to identify this as B-roll. I'll press Command and 4 to do that. And the other way that Alex was talking about, if you want to label manually, you can right click, you can come down to label, and let's just say that, mango is your jam for drone clips, or, mango means a certain color for maybe you're a travel content creator and you focus on food. Maybe you want to label and identify all of your food clips as mango, right? So it really depends up to you, but definitely make use of those shortcuts. And if you need, you can manually do it. But again, we're just trying to save time every time we edit. So I would highly recommend getting into those shortcuts and customizing to your liking.
yeah, and to do that, not that we have to get into it in this stream because we got a lot to cover, but you just go up
Yeah,
to edit and then you can edit the shortcuts from the edit menu
no
up top.
doubt. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So again, this is short form content. Let's just say it's a visual travel guide. We're not trying to tell a story, but we just want people to really realize and, look at the beauty of Nigeria. I love being a creator and a travel content creator because drones can help you literally see the world from a different perspective. And as someone who has grown up in Baltimore and lived in Nigeria, I want to be able to bring communities together and educate and inspire people. So we've got our clip. Um, we are running a little short on time. So let's just say, hey, I have all my clips. I feel like I've done a really good job of showcasing the beauty of Aquarium's greenery and the people and all the different things that you can do. I have all my clips. I'm going to simply press O on my keyboard, and O is the out point. Okay. And what I like to do sometimes when you press O, it gives you some a little space. I just want to make sure that it's right up on the edge there. I know that I won't need the rest of this song. So I just press C on my keyboard. I cut that audio clip in half. I'm going to press V to get my pointer back. And I'm just going to simply delete that clip. So what we have now is looks like a 19-second clip. We have an audio track. And I'm just going to play that on full screen. Let's just play it back. And I'm just going to press enter and it's going to play from the beginning. So I'm going to press enter. Let's let it rock. Nice.
The head bop.
Editing to the beat. So if you're rocking with me, you know that, once we hit that downbeat, we're switching scenes.
Yeah, I love it. And we have those markers there to kind of give us that visual indication.
Yep.
It's feeling good.
Nice, nice. I'm glad it's feeling good. Again,
Some great
we want to be
shots
able to
too, man.
inspire
I love
with
the variety.
with our drone and storytelling. Thank you. Yeah. So again, if you haven't been to Nigeria before, I'm happy to welcome you to my home in Akwa Boom, and really happy to have you along editing this video. Okay, so hey, we got our footage, we got our song, we have some pretty good clips. Now it's time to export. So what I'm gonna do on my computer, I'm gonna press Control and M, and it may be different on your computer, but I'm going to press Control and then M. And I'm just going to choose here. Now we're going to use a media encoder, but I'm just going to choose here where I want it to go. I'm going to go to my Mac Mini and let's go to my desktop. This is a long way of getting there. And then I get to title my video. So let's call it Adobe Live Aquarium. All right. Aquarium has made it to Adobe Live. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. But you'll notice here, when we look at this orientation, I don't want those black bars. I just want a nice, clean, vertical video that I can put on my Instagram. So for that, I'm going to go to Media Encoder. And what Premiere Pro is doing, it's sending this video, the what I want to export over to Media Encoder. And there, I'm actually going to adjust my settings for how I want it to export. And I have a few templates for that, but I'll just walk you through. So we can see here now that the same video that I named, Adobe Live dash Aquarium, is here. And it's in that high quality HD by default, but I want to change that. We're going to make some custom export settings. So if we were to actually export this right now and not make any changes, it'll just show up like this, but that's not what I want. I want a vertical format that's going to be good for Instagram. I'm going to give you a little cheat code. I do have, again, templates that just make it easy. You don't have to manually do this every time, but I do have an Instagram Reels template that I choose. And let's just walk through the settings for a bit, just in case you're curious. Let me drag this down and give you guys some more real estate. So we can see here the format is H.264, the output name. And if you click on this, it'll actually show like where it's going. So that's good. I'll cancel that out. And then the video settings is what's most important. So because we're posting on Instagram, our width is going to be 1080. Our height is going to be 920. I'm going to render at maximum depth. And then square pixels, you really don't have to learn about that, you really don't have to know about that. Square pixels are progressive. We're posting on Instagram, so we want to get something out quick. And then encoding settings, I wouldn't worry too much about. And then there should be one more box. Let me move my zoom out the way. Okay, so actually that's it. So VBR one pass is my preference. When I'm uploading to Instagram, I would recommend anything from 15 to 20. You're trying to targeting your bit rate. I know there are, different formulas and, people use different kind of bit rates, but 15 to 20 works well for me when I'm working with drone footage.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that.
Okay.
One really important thing that hangs people up here, at the very kind of bottom of that window there, there's that sequence into out. And sometimes people export and don't realize it's the entire timeline or something. So just make sure it's set to the sequence in and out that you're setting those in and out points to that Ime talked about a few minutes ago.
Exactly, exactly. So again, if we go back to our timeline, remember when we put that O, that said, hey, we want to everything from here and on over, we want to export. That is that sequence in and out. Now, there's a couple there's a couple options here, but if you were to choose entire sequence, it would export everything, however long that timeline is. But for today, we're just gonna we want to export just the in and out sequence, and the indicator is right here on the left, okay? So we've got our settings, we've got the target bitrate, 15, we've got the maximum render quality, and we can also see how big the file is, which is very important depending on what kind of platform you're loading to. I got everything good. Let's click OK. And we're going to let Media Encoder do its thing by clicking play. And as it's clicking play, it is taking into account all of those settings that we just defined, and it's going to export our video. But we're not done yet. I
Oh
want to
yeah, we got
introduce
more.
one of my favorite tools to use. It is called Adobe Express because we're going to make a very beautiful cover photo for our video. Okay, so I'm just going to go to, I'm using Google Chrome, but of course, you can open up Adobe Express and find it in Explorer or Mozilla or Internet Explorer if they're still using that. But nonetheless, welcome to Adobe Express. And I love this. It's clean layout. And I know exactly what I want to do. I want to make a cover photo for my Instagram reel. Okay. And the great thing about it is that they already have templates there. So I'm just going to browse on this template. Let's see what they have. And, I like to be, sort of minimalist. I don't really like a lot of graphics. I just want something nice on my page. But you can see here, I mean, this is a lot of great inspiration. You might be making a video about a trip to Paris, or, it's March Madness right now. But let me just type in minimalist. Okay, so I just typed in mini and minimalist came up. So it's going to show me Instagram stories that come up under the minimalist search query. So I'm just going to scroll through, see what I like. You know what? I think this is pretty, actually, you know what? I think this is pretty cool. So I just clicked on new arrivals, and I can see some text here. I can see a photo. I'm not sure if I like the color, but the great thing about Adobe Express, you can customize all of these to your brand, to your story, to what you want to say.
Mhm.
So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to change this text to welcome uh, to, and man, that looks like it's super squished in, but no worries. Adobe Express has got you covered. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. And it looks like, these texts are kind of spaced out. So I'm going to work on that line space, and let me bring that up there. And let's just say, hey, I'm going to try to find a different font. Let's use welcome to. That looks pretty good to me. I can click on and toggle off. Do I want it to be bold or not? It's really your preference, but let's see, letter space. I want those to be a little bit closer. There we go. Nice. Okay, so I got welcome to, and then let's actually, you know what? I'm going to delete this. And so if you've ever used Photoshop, again, in Premiere Pro and Adobe Express, it's all about layers. And the great thing is you can click those layers. So just a shortcut for me that I like using in Adobe Express, I'm going to copy. So what I just did there, let me go back. I'm going to click on this box. I'm going to press Command C, which is copy, and then I'll push paste. And then I'll just put for the second line, a quiet boom. All right. And
Yeah,
actually, you
don't
know
ask me
what?
how to spell that. I love that.
So going
While you
back,
are
actually,
are working here too, I do want to just
yeah,
give a quick shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining in. We do have about another
appreciate you.
40 minutes or so. So if you do have any other questions, maybe a little bit less time, but if you have any other questions, now's the time to throw them in the chat for Ime. We've been hanging out with him this whole chat, and he's now into Adobe Express. But if you're watching this in the future when it's archived, uh, everything before now, we've been talking about how to edit drone and travel footage from some stuff that you shot out in Nigeria, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Nigeria, the motherland, the motherland. Yes, we're taking drone footage, telling the stories, and really try to inspire people to travel to Nigeria, travel to the continent of Africa. And I'm just so grateful to be able to be a drone pilot and share these visuals with you if you can come. So we are now editing our cover photo. We're going to put this on the front page on our Instagram. And even though this is a good picture, I mean, these guys look pretty cool, but that's not the picture that I want. Okay, so let me try to go to my media folder, and I want to see if there's actually anything that I have here in this media folder. Let me go to your stuff. Let's see. And again, even if there's not something right here, the great thing about Adobe is there's a bunch of stock photos. There's a bunch of elements that you can choose from. There's a bunch of text that you can customize. So everything that you need to do to promote your story, to promote your business is going to be here in this tool. So, okay, so I'm looking through here. I've got some old photos, but hey, I want to upload a new one. So let me try. I'm going to go to the media folder and I'm going to click upload from device. Okay. I'm going to go to my creative files folder. This is like the motherboard of everything, but I'm going to go to photography. Let's go to 2024 and a Quibum state. And that looks pretty cool. Okay. This is actually a shot of a Ket Stadium. So I think that's a really good shot.
Ooh,
Okay, really
I
unique
like that.
shot. I'm gonna upload that into um, Adobe Express, and man, it just put it right there in the middle. That's not what I want, but no worries. Oh, it clicked too. Okay, so I'm actually going to, whoops, gonna click this. I'm just gonna delete this. I'm gonna delete the photo here. Give me one
And
second.
since it is Motion Mondays, and we've been talking Premiere the whole time in this segment, there's probably a lot of people in the chat that maybe haven't played with Adobe Express yet. Ime, I'm curious to know, it's relatively new. It's been around for a while, but I think it's
Mhm.
new to a lot of people still. And what's your take on it? The when you first started using it, just your overall impressions, and I would encourage anyone in the chat to give it a try. It makes a lot of things really easy, as you can see here with this template. But Ime, what's your kind of take on it with the first time you used it and just the learning curve? Because this might be completely new to a lot of our viewers.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a great tool for time saving. And again, as a creative entrepreneur and a professional, I'm always like to brand my work. And the tools are just so easy. I mean, I come in here and I can change text, I can change graphics. So it's very similar to, I'm sure a lot of other tools that we're probably familiar with. But for me, as a Adobe Creative Cloud subscription member, the fact that I get this tool in that bundle, it pays for itself and super user friendly. I can use it on my phone. I can use it on the web. I can use it via app, and it just keeps everything in the cloud for me. So if I've started an idea, or maybe I want to come back later, it's always going to be there in Adobe Express. It's always going to be there in Adobe Express. And again, I think the biggest thing for me is that it's just synced across all of my devices. So no matter where I am, if I have access to data or the internet, I can just open Adobe Express and continue my work and create programs, flyers, call outs. I mean, anything, you can do it all here.
Yeah, Joshua in the chat says it's been growing on him as well, and I have to agree. I probably started using it, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or so, but it's continually evolving and improving and getting better and better. And it's been really helpful for my workflows as well. So as you can see here with Ime showing us how easy it is
Absolutely.
and getting a
Yeah,
great
and again, it's
thumbnail here
just it's
already.
just really easy to customize. Again, if you're familiar with like Adobe now, this let me change this color because I'm not feeling this color, man. I'm trying to talk it through, but we got a piece of tape here. Let me just take that off. But again, if you're familiar with Premiere Pro, even Photoshop, even if you're not, just think of these tools as layers. We're just adding and removing layers. So again, it just allows me to be creative. Again, I can add different elements. And let's just say I wanted to put a bar here and oh, okay, my lights went out. Okay. We're gonna keep
Mood
going.
lighting. We're
There we
gonna roll
go.
with the punches.
So I'm
This is
gonna put
dark mode for Ime.
actually I'm gonna put not this there, but I'm just gonna put search. Let's do that. Let's put search. Okay, I'm just gonna put a search bar for whatever reason, and let's just keep that up there now. And then what I'll do here, in the top right corner, I'm gonna download, and I'm just gonna download this again right to my desktop, my Macintosh HD. Let's go here, desktop, and let's just name this A quiet boom cover. All right, cool. So we'll save that and let me plug in my light. Let me plug in my light real quick and I'll be
No
right back.
worries. And while you do that, for anyone who is watching, if you like podcasts, if you like learning about things constantly, Adobe has a podcast called In the Making with Teresa Al. And man, season one is incredible. There's guests like Christo, Aaron Draplin. And season two is coming up very soon. And you can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, all those things. But it's called In the Making. We'll have our moderators share out a link. In addition to that, if you want to be on this show or you want to be in Ime's position, or if you know someone who does, we are taking guest recommendations. You can make those recommendations directly on Behance in the upper right hand corner. There is a tab next to the chat that says guest recommendations. We'll also be able to get a link out for you guys as well over on YouTube. And yeah, we got probably, what are we at? Sorry, I'm looking around. I got a bunch of screens everywhere. So
All good?
we are at 11:30 and we got maybe another 20, 25 minutes, including we'll have to do some recap stuff. But we're moving right
Yeah.
along. We've been hanging out with Ime. He's got his lights back on. We're looking good. Dark mode is unenabled. And we've
Oh
talked
man.
about editing inside of Premiere, sending
Yep.
that to encoder for exporting. And now we've been inside of Adobe Express making a thumbnail for our vertical drone travel video. And now we
Yeah.
just did a export from Express and Ime's back. He's
That's
here.
right.
What do we
So
do
I just
next?
noticed something. So I went to the video that we exported and I could hear the video, but I can't see any visuals. So again, it's always good to obviously make sure that you're exporting the right thing. So let's actually see what we did wrong. I'm going to go back to Premiere Pro for a second just to make sure like there's nothing over there. Okay, so that looks
Keys
pretty
is
good.
saying click the trash can icon with the picture selected in Express. I might have missed that part.
Ah,
Sorry,
okay.
Keys.
Okay, yeah, we'll come back to Adobe Express in just a second, but I'm just gonna go back. I'm gonna export this again. I can see that sequence in and out is good. Okay, I'm gonna send this. Yeah, I'm gonna send this. Let's call it V 1.1. And actually, yeah, we're gonna call it V 1.1. Send that to the desktop. And then, yeah, let's try to export again. Maybe I was moving a little bit too fast. But we're gonna click play right here. Okay, cool, cool,
There we
cool.
go.
I did
Yeah.
kind of see that white bar last time, but now that I can actually see a preview, that means that it's grabbing the right thing. So right now it's exporting. We're gonna go back to Adobe Express. It sounded like a really good question, so let me bring that back up. So was there a question or
Um,
about?
Honestly, I might have missed it because we got a little distracted with the lights turning on and off. Keys in the chat, if you're still there, let us know what you were mentioning. It sounded like maybe just for deleting like the tape layer or something like that that we were talking about. But
Ah, okay,
I don't think it was a
gotcha.
question. I think it was more of a comment, but correct me if I'm wrong.
All good. All good. Well, let's say I love Adobe Express and I haven't even like scratched the surface of what you can do because I just downloaded that to my desktop. And what I typically like to do, I like posting from my phone, but Adobe Express also gives you the option to actually export to Instagram from Adobe and Express. Now you have to do a little bit of connection and link it up. But for me, I just try to download it, send it to my phone, and I can just natively post within Instagram. But if you're thinking about sharing, you can see it up here. That's social media right here,
Yeah, and you
or
can even
LinkedIn or
schedule it and
Facebook.
everything as well, which is nice, and that's
One
continuously evolving.
Exactly. And again, it's, as a creative, from Premiere Pro to your, OS to there's just all these tools. And it's just really good to have a tool like Adobe Express. You could actually, post from within this tool. So again, you can write your captions. You can looks like options for, the first comment. There's just so many things you can do here. And the crazy thing about it in Adobe, I'm always surprised that, Adobe Max and, tuning into some of these live sessions, like that product team is working hard and they are listening to the feedback. So periodically throughout the year, there's all these new features that are coming out, not just because but they're trying to make creators more efficient and how we can increase the time that we get these ideas and put them out into the world. So shout out to Adobe, shout out to Adobe Live team and the product team. This is a really cool feature. Okay, so let's check right here on Media Encoder. Just gonna go back. So again, the best thing that I love about this, I'm gonna click on the file and it's gonna take me directly to that page. I'm gonna click space. Okay, and this looks a lot better than the the video that we had last time. Not color graded or anything, but you can see here that I have a beautiful 22-second video that is ready to post on Instagram. I have my Acquire Boom cover right here, which I'll use to post as well. And let's just say that I wanted to post this on Instagram. I could, let's go back to Adobe Express real quick. So I'm going to share. I'm
And
going to
speaking of
put this.
Instagram, is that the best place for people to follow you or find your work or your website? Where do you typically send people to?
Yeah, yeah. Instagram, please. So on my Instagram, I talk about my travel experiences, visual travel guides, and I also post about tips if you want to become a drone pilot or you just want to tell better stories. So you can follow me on Instagram, Ime Umoh _. I do have a YouTube page as well where I post a lot of my work. And I always just encourage you, if you have questions about drone content creation, traveling, just shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I would be more than happy to I'm more than happy to assist. You can also see some of my work on my website, imeumoh.com. You can see where I've been around the world. And then, as Alex mentioned earlier, you'll also find free resources. So, one of the things I'm most proud of last year was my 10 tips for drone photography. It's a free guide that you can download, and it's everything that I wish I would have known 5 years ago when I just got started. The other is for essentials for drone creatives. So if you have a drone, if you don't have a drone, if you're looking to get in, this is going to tell you everything about licensing, the trust certificate, what kind of ND filters to have, even a pitch template of how you can actually reach out to businesses, brands, and tourism boards. I put it all in there for free. It is for you to have. So if you've downloaded one of those or you're thinking about being a drone creative, download it. Let me know what you think.
Excellent. So we have about 20 minutes or so, so maybe 15, and then we can kind of do a recap and close this out.
Okay.
Where are we at with everything that you wanted to cover? Are we at the end of that? Do we have more? If not, I have some ideas for Premiere that we could touch on,
Okay.
but yeah, where are we at?
Yeah, in terms of our visual story, so what we wanted to do today is actually walk you through how do you get from, hey, I shot a bunch of nice footage on my drone or my cell phone. I have a lot of nice travel content. And how do we get that into a beautiful visual story? I call them visual travel guides, but we talked about how to import your footage, how to organize it, how to call that footage, how to import a song, how to put it on a timeline, and then to edit to the beat, we utilize markers today. So we utilize markers, we cut up our footage, and we got this nice 22-second visual travel guide of Acquire, which I'm really excited about. And we also wrapped up with making I'll show you the end result here, but this is actually our cover photo that we can use on Instagram. Instagram does allow you to post cover photos for Reels. So we created that in Adobe Express. We imported one of my actually this this isn't my photo. Let's let's do it again. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Rewind.
Um,
Woo!
oh my gosh. All right. So it's all good because what we can do, again, it's all in the cloud. It's all saved. I don't have to start from scratch. We can
Yeah, I think
actually
we uploaded it and then forgot to actually insert it.
yeah, man. That's my bad. Okay, there we go. That's acquirable. Shout out
There
to
it
those other
is.
people, but now let's download. We are going to download here. And then I'm just going to click on the cover. I'm going to remove that A. All right. Now we are good. I don't know those other people, okay? All right, here we go. There we go. All right, so welcome to Acquire Boom. We created a really quick, minimalistic cover photo, and then now we are ready to post in Instagram. So that is how I bring these visual travel guides together in Premiere Pro.
Excellent. So if we have some extra time, it sounds like maybe,
Yeah.
um, I would love to just hop over to Premiere, and I have some
Okay.
questions. I mean, I want to feed kind of our drone and editing community here that's here for Premiere and here for the drone
Yeah.
stuff. So maybe I'll just funnel you some stuff and we can
Sure.
kind of work through these. last 10 minutes or so, and then we'll kind
You
of
got it.
wrap it up. But I know a common thing for me, we've talked a little bit about how you pull your selects, how you edit and color and change labels. Are there any specific hotkeys that you utilize? I know you've been mentioning them along the way, but if there's any other like go-to ones, like using the hotkeys for the color labels, maybe there's another one. I don't know if you use like the slip tool or the rate tool. I would love to just kind of dive into some of the features and maybe lesser known things or whatever
Yeah.
you personally use in your editing structuring.
Exactly. And I would tell that to any editor, whether you're just starting out or whether Premiere Pro is a new software for you, having shortcuts is going to save you so much time. So what I talked about earlier is really labeling how I label my clips, because a lot of times, I just really need to know which ones do I want to use. But we talked about labeling. One of my go-to clips as well is going to be the C button. I just, if I'm on the timeline and I need to cut something in half, or I just like this point, I'll press C and that'll open up the cut tool. And let's just say that again, I want to just stop this clip right here. I'll just press C. I know it's not like it's kind of by default, but I'm thinking about the buttons that I use every day in every edit. V is just to bring the cursor back so I can, drag and drop. So C and V are really good. I do use, I believe Command and the tilde is for full screen. So if I were to
Yeah.
play this video, okay, it is in full screen. The tilde, but the hotkeys that I use are basically 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those are all for colors. Um, Another one that I use is Command and R, and that's to control the speed. So we can look at this speed right now. It's normal, 100% is pretty much normal. Let's say I wanted to change this clip to 500 for whatever reason, and then you can see it's a lot faster, right? So,
Hmm.
um, one of my this has saved me hours, money. It's probably saved my life, but Command Z is probably a key that gets used 1,000 times a day. That's just to undo something. So if you ever felt like you maybe deleted something by accident or you want to go back from what you did, just pressing the undo button will save you a lot of time and stress.
And we do have well, shout out real quick to CMYK over on YouTube. Thanks for joining in. How's it
No
going?
doubt.
He's asking, I'm curious too. Do you fly any FPV drones? I know I'm a drone nerd. I do some FPV. I know you do tons of drone work. Do you do FPV
Yeah.
as well?
I leave, so not professionally, not yet. I am in training on the back end on low key, but I don't do any professional work right now. I'm still practicing and training, but yes, be expecting more FPV
Nice.
later this year for sure. I mean, that's the great thing about being a drone pilot and a creative. There's so many different avenues in which you can go. I mean, there's FPV, there's the cinematic side of FPV, there's drone racing. There's just this industry is just huge, and I feel like as a creative we're using it for the movies and the storytelling, and FPVs are very, very popular. The footage that we're editing today is, I would say, a traditional like quadcopter. But yes, if you have an FPV or you're learning, shout out to you because it takes a lot of patience, but certainly some really, really dynamic shots that are coming out of FPV. So not right now, you won't see a lot of that on my page, but definitely later this year. Be on the lookout.
Heck yeah, I'm super excited because it's a rabbit hole. It's super fun. I've been flying it for years,
Man,
and obviously we got an
nice.
FPV guy in the crowd, and we can't have a drone and editing session without at least calling it out. So thanks for bringing that
Exactly.
up. Um, yeah, I'd be curious. You touched on how you adjust the speed overall for an entire clip. Do you
Yeah.
also are you familiar with time remapping? The other kind of method of doing that?
Okay. Are you talking about like the optical flow? Like,
No, and it's okay if you don't know this. It's
sure.
been covered before and we can go into it. But usually, if you kind of right click on the clip by that little FX badge,
Okay.
all the way to the side there, right click, and then there's the option for time remapping. And what that does, if you scale up so you can see a little bit more. I'm sorry, that scale up the track so you can see that video layer. You'll see a little line on it, kind of like where the volume would be. Like if you scale up the actual video track, that gives you a little line, and we can go into it another time, but
Sure.
there is another option there for time remapping as well, so you can kind of change it on the clip. So if you were to like
Gotcha.
vertically scale that video track there, um, yeah,
Gotcha.
there you go. So now you use the
Gotcha.
pen tool and you can control the speed of it that way as well.
Speed ramp. Okay, so I like this feature. I I probably call it just speed ramp, but yeah, I use this I actually use that time remapping for speed ramp. So a lot of the times you can actually determine, where or how fast the clip is going on the timeline. So let me actually try that here. It's been a minute, but I'm gonna press
Yeah,
command
we can play it on.
here, command here. Let's just drag this up. So again, it's basically put like you got a clip and it's put two pins in it. And it's just saying, hey, don't do anything between here, but I'm going to click and drag this up. So in the middle of the clip, I'm saying, hey, I want to actually speed ramp this up. So what I'm doing, I'm just adjusting how the speed ramp is going to look. I want it to be a little bit smoother. So I'll put that there, and then I want it to be smoother on this side.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
let's see how that looks. So
So it's
yeah,
basically
speed
going
ramp,
from like
especially
100 up really fast and then back to, 100 speed or
exactly. So
whatever you have
I
it
don't know
set
if
to.
people caught that, but it was definitely so. Let's try 600%. All right. So I don't know if you caught that. Let's try to drag it out. Let's give it a little bit more space. And
So yeah, there's kind of multiple ways to adjust that speed. So you had the right click on the clip, adjust it that way for the entire clip. We have
yep,
the time remapping, speed remapping. I think it's the same thing, whatever you want to call it. This method here, which is great. And
really,
then
really
there is a
cool feature.
third method would just be that rate tool, which is more of a tool to just click and drag from the end. But yeah, those are
Mhm.
kind of the main ones. And I feel like, I don't know, do you use that a lot in drone stuff? I know I typically do for certain
You
shots.
know, I used to, man. I used to use a lot of speed ramps. And my editing style has obviously evolved like over the years, but I really don't try to use a lot of effects, nowadays. I love clean footage and
Hmm.
I love cinematic footage. So it's definitely a tool in my bag. I feel like if it's for a certain shot or I just want to get a certain point across, I may use it. But honestly, most of my clips, I'm shooting with the edit in mind. So yeah, I don't use it much nowadays, but I don't know. Stay tuned. You may see it in a couple of upcoming drone clips
It
later
be
this month.
it becomes handy with that FPV stuff sometimes. So
For
maybe
sure.
I have to
For
change it because I
sure.
feel like you got a very cinematic style going right now with your work. It's very evident, and you're working for a lot of travel agencies and that sort of thing. But
Hmm. Yeah. And
yeah,
it, and
I
it,
love it.
and again, it really depends on the style, man. I mean, some people like this clip, for instance, and actually this is a great point because this is a pretty long clip, but it's not I usually label my yellow clips for hyperlapses, but you can see here that this is not. But I labeled it yellow because this would be a perfect clip for a speed ramp. So I'm gonna push here.
Oh,
Actually, so we're gonna right click time remapping, press speed, and I'm gonna go to this point because this is where I want my clip to speed up. And then now I need to find where do I want it to stop. So I'm going to press command and pull it right there. I'm going to say everything in between. So from here to here, I'm going to speed it up. So let's rake that up to 600. I want it to be smooth. I don't want it to be like an abrupt, kind of
yes.
stop. So I want it to be smooth.
We don't want those jitters you're talking about. And
No
that's
jitters,
very common with the
man.
drone
Rookie
stuff if you try to
mistake.
speed it up too. Yeah.
All right, so let's see how that looks. So slow and then look at that. Nice. Now you can see, I mean, my eye is probably, a little bit more trained, but there were a little bit of jitters, coming through, but I think that's a pretty good clip. So again, speed ramping is a really beautiful way, especially with drone clips. They're going to be kind of long in nature. So how can we use our visual effects to really make it more exciting? So speed ramping is a great tool to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And how's it going, Stefan, in the chat? Intent TV over on YouTube is asking if you have considered working with a cinematographer, and that would be to ensure that your behind the scenes kind of tells another part of the story, like having someone maybe capturing you, um,
Oh my
capturing
gosh.
this work. I
I would
think that's
love
what you
that.
mean, intent. Let me know if I missed that. But
I
yeah, what's
would
your take on
love
that?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, BTS is so important as creators. I mean, it's one thing to like do the work behind the scenes and put it out, but a lot of the times, especially when you're reaching out to businesses or brands, they need to actually see you doing the work. And it really does help. So a lot of these trips, I do travel solo, but when I'm going to Lagos or Nigeria or wherever I'm traveling, I always try to reach out and see who's around to help me create, help me learn. But yeah, absolutely. If you're going to be in Akwa Ibom or Lagos, Nigeria, you have an idea, please hit me up. I'm always looking to build community, especially in the creative community of drone pilots, photographers, videographers. If you love storytelling, if you love being outside, if you love changing perspectives, then absolutely, please give me a shout on Instagram, Ime Umoh _ I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and like I said too at the beginning, you're probably one of the most humble people that I've had the pleasure of working with professionally. I mean, you and I met, I don't know, a year, 2 years ago in
Yep.
a professional environment and have kind
Yep.
of just kept in contact since then, which has been awesome. And I
Yeah.
love how much you advocate for just teaching and being, that voice to help others. And I'm curious,
Yeah.
with your home roots over in Nigeria, I've kind of experienced, I've had people reach out to me asking me,
Hmm.
about how to get started in video editing out there. And I haven't really been in that
Mm.
world. So I don't understand the struggles that they face out there. Do you ever get to
Yeah.
let them fly the drone or show them this stuff? What is that like being in these other
Absolutely.
countries that maybe aren't so developed?
Man. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, I love teaching and I love being that inspiration because it might not be every day where, depending on where I'm going, you may not see a drone every day, but I certainly always try to take the time because when I'm flying, I'm usually in like public spaces, but I'm like off to a corner. Somebody may come up or be looking at the drone, trying to find out where I am. But it is so important to me that I always give people an opportunity just to actually fly the drone because you never know when they'll be able to, when they'll be able to see a drone or fly a drone again. So typically what I do, I'll take it like, 200 feet up in the air where there's no buildings, but I'll just let them fly and I'll let them practice. And for me, I just want people to, look at drones as being normal. There's a lot of, privacy concerns. This thing spying on me, but, I'm using drones as a storytelling tool. So yeah, I absolutely love those opportunities to teach while I'm out in the wild. And then also I'm really lucky to be able to teach online. So if you do have questions about editing or how to become a full-time, drone professional or licensing or anything like that, please like look at those guides. That information is in there. If you feel like you might need some coaching, like some more individualized plan or with some action items, you can obviously book a coaching call with me, but it's like one thing to shoot the beautiful footage, but it's another thing to give it back. And I just want to empower creatives all across the world. This drone and this footage and editing and building it together has absolutely changed my life. It's allowed me to travel, it's allowed me to build community. And that's the most important thing to me, man, just giving back. So seriously, if you have questions, start with the free guides. If you need a little bit more support, I have a free mini course on my website, imeumoh.com. And if you need something more tailored, you can book a coaching call with me. I would love to connect with you and just map out your drone journey.
Absolutely, man. I agree with all of that. He's got some great content. It's been an absolute pleasure. Super fun having you on this stream. And I
Thank
do
you.
see people in the chat. Steven, yes, FPV editing should be its own episode. I do these as
Facts.
well, and I'm taking note there. So maybe stay tuned for something in the future. Hopefully, we get that on here.
Cool.
We covered a lot today.
Yeah.
We talked in Premiere, we talked about markers, about coloring things, coloring footage based on how whether it's a fire shot and it's going to be amazing. We talked about how to set markers to the beat on your music and how to edit to that. We exported through encoder and kind of what settings to use there, as well as hopping into Adobe Express and making your thumbnails and all that sort of stuff. Is there anything I missed that we talked about? Because this
I
will
would
all be
say,
archived, so people are going to watch this again, and if you missed any of it, rewind,
yeah.
pause, check it out.
Great recap, man. I would say, and this is really to my creators, my travel content creators, my storytellers, drone pilots, just remember to have fun. When I first started in Premiere Pro, I was looking at all these buttons and I was like, man, what is going on? but I promised to myself, and I remember saying to myself, I am going to learn this tool. So hopefully I've made it a little bit easier for you today. A lot of the things that I used to get stuck up with, we talked about those today: pancake editing, how to call your footage and organize. So again, just whatever kind of camera you use or drone you use, just remember to have fun. These tools are built with the creator in mind. Adobe Express is built with the creator in mind. So use these tools, and I hope that just like it's done for me, it can help you get those ideas out of your head into like a tangible form. And I'm just really thankful to use these tools and talk about it today. So I think we got everything, but
Excellent.
most importantly, just remember to have fun, tell your story, be intentional, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, and speaking of the next one, we do have another one coming up here on Motion Mondays. Coming up next, we do have storytelling and video editing for sports events. So we have
Nice.
Marcus and Karina who will be giving the insiders look to on how all those jaw-dropping sports highlights come together. So stick around for that. Be sure to go check out Ime, his website, his Instagram. I'm over on Instagram as well, and then be sure above all subscribe to Adobe Live on Instagram and over on
Yes.
YouTube. And we'll be back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back for another. Thank you so much, Ime, and thank you so much to everybody in the chat for participating. We'll see you soon.